Thank you so much for joining us on the Dwellynn Show. I'm your host, Ola Dantes. I've got Juan Vargas with us today. Hey, Juan, how you doing?
Hey, Ola, it's a pleasure to be on your show, man. I really do. I'm excited to be on here and talk shop. So let's do this.
Yeah, impressive profile. I normally like the guests to tell our Dwell listeners about themselves. So can you kind of tell us your journey? What have you been up to? What are you doing lately?
Yeah. So again, my name is Juan Vargas. I live in Houston. I got started in real estate. Um, Shortly, I would say really it was more in '03, but that was more by accident. And that was through a rental house. And really we started getting into it more in the later years. And then I got into a multifamily in 2016. And in 2016 is when I acquired my first property. It was a 32 unit, and we ended up acquiring that property through direct mail, which it does still work. But you have to make sure that you are strategic on that whenever you're targeting and marketing to the right people. But from then, I have also been a limited partner in 4 separate deals, a little over 1,000 units. I've been a general partner in 650 plus units, and that is over 3 deals. And we have another deal actually right now under contract as we speak. And we actually just did a webinar for it last night. And that one is 200 plus units in the Phoenix market. So it started with a couple of single family homes. Now we're doing a little bit bigger projects. So it's exciting to be in real estate for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And you're in a beautiful market, Houston, Texas. We love that market. We've just closed on a 160 unit in that market ourselves.
Nice.
So yeah. So before we even get into all that, I definitely want to go back a little bit where I was taking some notes as you were talking. So you had a couple of rental properties. Now you've got apartments all over the place. How does that work? So can you kind of take us back to, the beginning? What made you want to go into real estate? What was that, I guess, thing in your mind that just felt like I want to do something more?
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, it kind of is the same. For me, it was about creating some time, to be with my family. So I have 3 boys. I'm married, so I have my wife and my 3 boys, and really for me is about spending time with them more, right? And being able to achieve that time and financial freedom. That's the other thing, obviously for most of us. And so I had a job that where I was with BMW. And, I think a lot of people can relate, working at a job, it becomes a little tiresome because you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. And it doesn't change unless you make a change. It's not going to change for you. You have to make that change. And so for me, I started looking for different ways to create, passive income so that I could spend more time with my family. And then, real estate was one of the biggest drivers and one of the biggest things that kept popping up. But even before that, my dad, he had and he still has rental houses. So I think it was something that it was more natural for me to look into even more.
Absolutely. So then you bought these rentals. Can you kind of talk us through that process in terms of how you got started? How did you find the deal, and how did you fund the deal? How did you get your feet in the door?
Yeah. So the first one was more by accident, really. That's more, it was more by accident because we used that one. But actually, that's where my mother-in-law lives now. So we're not counting that. But really, it was later on where I started looking into it, where I decided, okay, let me start looking into real estate more as a way to create passive income, not necessarily as a business, but more as a side hustle. So while I was still working, and so for me, it was more about reading. It was more about education at that time, and trying to learn it as much as possible, and then taking what I had learned and just putting it into action. So really, it's just about taking action. So that's how I got started, and that was
Yeah, sure. So if there's somebody listening to our conversation, fly on the wall, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, I want to be like, this guy. I want to start buying apartments." And this guy literally started with, rental properties, but I don't have any money. if that's the mindset of somebody listening and thinking, I don't know how to get started. I don't know what to do. I'm just confused. I really want to do something with my life, but I just don't know how to start. What do you say to that person?
Yeah, yeah. So first of all, I would say one of the most important things, if you have no money, right? If that's not one of your strengths, is the capital, is not one of your favors, then what I would do for sure is to find somebody that is doing what you want to do, and then go work for them for free. And what the experience that you're going to take from that is going to be so much more valuable than anything else. You'll take that experience, and then you can go out there and to start your own business down the road. But yeah, first of all, you got to be able to build that experience. And then once you have that experience, then you can, you got to hunt for the deals. Right now in this market, the deal is, I would say, is probably one of the most valuable things you're going to have. So if you're able to find a true deal, a true deal that's not, a daisy chain type of deal that's been thrown around all over the place, and you're able to take it to a legit operator, then you most likely you're going to close on that deal. So I would say, knowledge is key. It's always going to be key. And take that knowledge and and then go out there and look for deals. You'll be able to find and surround yourself with the right people to be able to put those deals together for sure. In my opinion.
Yeah, that is such an amazing question. I'm just gonna add something there as well. Like, a lot of people just kind of think, if they say to themselves like, hey, I can't do this, I can't do that, they actually activate a part of the brain that shuts off that process. Like, if you say to yourself you can't, then you won't be able to, right? But if you figure out a way to say, how can I, right, then your brain starts to activate and say, hey, maybe I can go work for someone for free. I think that's a great point. And learn what I don't know, because one of my favorite quotes in life is, you don't know what you don't know, right? So if you're just there sitting by yourself saying, I can't buy a rental property, I don't know how to start house hacking, I don't know how to do anything, then you're just constantly just beating down that part of your brain that should be activated to say, hey, how can I do.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. I always, train my kids, the same way, whenever they're doing something, and, the kids are kids, they're going to be, as honest as they can. And, I can't do this, or I can't, and I tell them, I don't ever want to hear you say that I can't do one thing or I can't do another thing. Never say that. Always try to figure out how you can do it, and if you can't, you for some reason are struggling to be able to accomplish that, then ask for help. But everything's possible. And so I think it starts from an early age, from parenting and mentoring, and all that good stuff. So
yeah, that's such a good one. So, get somebody out there, get a mentor, either paid or a coach or somebody that you can add value to their lives, take away a pain point, and maybe perhaps they might show you, some little tricks of the trade to kind of expedite, your goal towards getting your first deal done.
So I'll say one more thing on that. So a lot of people, may think, why would I go work for somebody for free? That makes no sense, But the thing about it is that you're not necessarily, you're not really working for free. You're working for the knowledge, right? And if you are trading your time for dollars, then you're not going to get out of the same mindset, because every time you're doing something, you want to get paid for it. And that's only currency amount. It's not knowledge. Knowledge is going to take you so much further. And with knowledge, you can surround yourself with the right people, and deals will happen. Things will happen and get put together. But if you're trading your time, for a couple $100, then it's not going to get you anywhere. You want to really, really have that knowledge, and go do it for free, man. That's really, especially if you're young. Especially if you're young and you have the ability to do that, then really there should be no excuses for that. So.
Yeah, it's a total mind shift approach, right? To just think, hey, I don't have to do X amount of hours to get X amount of dollars, right? When you kind of move from that mindset to, hey, I just want to learn and learn, because when I learn, I know knowledge is power, and essentially I can transform that into dollar sign at a deferred date. Is kind of when the magic happens, I feel like.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So you definitely, so fast forward 2016. A 32 unit. Wow. How did that happen? How did you find that deal? How did you fund that deal? And, can you tell us that kind of like the life cycle, if you still own it or you've disposed of that property?
Yeah. So I don't have that property anymore. I did exit out of that property. So this was in 2016, and So it was with my last rental property, and that rental property I was vacant at that time, right? So it was leased, the entire time, but then I was vacant, and what I realized was that I was the one that had to pay for the mortgage. I was the one that had to pay for the holding costs, the utilities, and all that good stuff. And I was just thinking, I was like, man, why does everybody keep saying that single family houses are good, or rentals are good? I see how they're beneficial if you scale large, but in a large way. But for me, it was going to take me forever to get to that point, right? So I was sitting there thinking, man, this sucks. If I have like a roof that goes out, guess what? All the cash flow that I built up for the last couple of years is going to be going to that roof. If I have an AC unit go out, then all the cash flow that I built up is going to go out the window right there. Yes, I was accounting for repairs and maintenance, but it was only like $100 a month. So that's not it's not gonna cover 3-4 grand, right? So I was thinking, man, this is horrible. So if I have a 100 unit, for example, I was thinking, and I'm one tenant down or two tenants down, you're at 99% occupied still, So it was just a no brainer. That was my aha moment at that point. And so I was like, you know what? I told my wife, I'm buying apartments. And then she looked at me and she's like, okay, like, she saw me like I was crazy. I was like, yes, I'm going to buy apartments. It makes too much sense not to. And shortly after that, I started to reach out to brokers. Of course, they didn't take me seriously, and they started to send me, pretty much junk properties. And, I was underwriting them. And I was like, man, this thing makes no sense. It's like way overpriced. So then I just started to take matters in my own hand. And I started to do direct mail and send out letters directly to owners within certain zip codes. And I was targeting a certain size. I was targeting a certain length of ownership, and sure enough, I was able to get some feedback and some replies from this 32 unit owner, along with other ownership properties, other owned properties, and yeah, we took it down.
Awesome. So can you before you go on, can you quickly walk us through the DM process, the direct mail process? What kind of systems, if you're comfortable with that, from a tactical perspective? Obviously, we do the same thing at Dwellynn, but I just kind of want to see how do you guys do that and kind of start that process from when the apartment owner gets the letter to when they call you and kind of that whole process.
Yes, very good question. So I wanted to do something a little bit different. And for me, that was sending out direct mail, but handwritten direct mail. So what I was doing, and that sounds crazy because you're sending out a lot of mail, and you're probably listening and thinking, man, why the heck would you do that? It just takes way too much time. But man, the way I saw it at that moment was, if I really want this, then I'm going to do what most people are not willing to do. And so the people that are thinking that I was crazy are the ones that are not doing that. So I'm going to do something that they're not doing. So like that, I can have that competitive advantage, right? So and these were personalized, and yeah, I sat there, I had hand aches, for weeks and weeks, because all these letters I was handwriting. And I even had my kids, help me out with writing, but you could tell their handwriting was way off than mine. So I was like, okay, this is not going to work. There is obviously a child that's writing this, so so I had to keep doing it myself. But I did get a lot of feedback. I got some calls back, and I got some emails back, and really what happened with those properties was that the owners were just being way ridiculous, and were just looking for a sucker to take their property, and I was new at multifamily, but I wasn't, I wasn't stupid either, so I guess I could say that, but so yeah, it was handwritten. I looked for a certain zip code that I wanted to target, something that was only 30 minutes to an hour away from me, and I targeted certain zip codes. I targeted also properties that were 50 units and below, and I also targeted properties that were owned less than, or actually rather more than 3 years. So it had been owned more than 3 years. That's what I targeted. Why 3 years? Because I just felt that, if it was 3 years and under, then people, it was too new, so maybe they were still implementing their business plan. They still wanted to hold on to their property after 3 years. That was just my number. It could be 5 years for your market. I don't know, but for 3 years was my number that I used, and that's who I targeted.
So also for the actual list, are you using like a third party app or website like ListSource? Is that how you're grabbing the list?
Good point. Good point. So what I did was I went to the county's website. So for me, I live in Houston, so it's Harris County. And what I did was go to hcat.org. And so then from there, there's a lot of different filters that you can put in. And so I filtered out a bunch of different properties, and then it gave me those certain properties, and I also filtered it out by age as well, because I wasn't looking for 1950s construction or anything like that. I was looking more for like high 60s, 70s and above. So there's a lot of different ways you can filter it, but Harris County is a big um, is a big resource. So there might not be it might not be the same in your particular county if you're listening. You might live in a smaller county that you don't have the ability to filter out a lot of different ways that we do, like in Harris County, because Harris County is just gigantic. But that's the way I did it.
Awesome.
Um,
Awesome.
mhm.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate that. So you got this 32 unit on the contract, on the control. How did that process in terms of, that was your first big deal at the time. How was the asset management process for you, and how did you exit that deal?
Yeah. So the asset management side, it was myself and a partner that took it down, right? So myself and a partner, and actually it was my GC that on the single family side, a good friend of mine, and I was actually going to take it down myself. And for me, I was finding out every single opportunity that I could to take it down. And at that time, I didn't have all the capital to be able to take it down, but I had a lot of equity in my house, to take it down. So I was like, you know what? I told my wife, we're selling this house. I have my three boys and everything, so I was like, what, we're selling this house. And she's like, okay. And then, so what are we going to do? I was like, we'll figure it out later. We'll sell this house. We'll take the equity that we have there. We'll be able to fully fund the deal, and then we'll move forward. Right. And she was on board, she was on board. So then I called my friend, my buddy, my GC, over to the house. He went over to the house. He looked at the house and my house. And then he's like, okay. And then I told him, hey, I need you to give me a quote on this, and that, because we're going to sell the house. And he's like, why do you want to sell the house? And then we're like, well, there's an opportunity to buy an apartment. And so we want to, take the equity out of this house, and then go and buy the apartment. And he's like, wait, let's talk more about this. If you're interested, I'll be able to put some equity into the deal as well. And then like that, you don't have to sell the house. And then I can be your partner. I can do the work, and we could take it down together like that. And I was like, okay, we met, we talked, and it worked out for the better of us. And it reduced my risk as well. And so then, and he did he's a GC, so obviously he's going to have a lot of interest in making sure that the property is doing well, and it's turning well. So it worked out well at the end. So that
Oh
was that
wow,
was
that is such a fantastic story. I really like that. Just how things kind of unfolded for you. It's like the universe was definitely on your side, and things just kind of, I really like that.
yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you have to be creative. You have to be creative. Sometimes, for me at that point, I had my family, I had my kids, but I was still willing to proceed and give it up my personal house. So most people would think that's crazy. I didn't think that was crazy. For me, it was the opportunity. A house is just a house. You can find another house later, and that's what I was thinking of at that moment. So,
Yeah,
and you have to be willing to do that. That's the way
absolutely.
entrepreneurship works. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the price, you should be willing to pay if you have to. In your case, you didn't have to, which is great, but either way, you were ready to take that opportunity.
To
And I
make the
really
move.
love that. Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure this is a good segue, and that kind of explains kind of the ripple effect after the 30 unit. So you were an LP on 4 deals, your GP, you've got a 200 units on the contract. Um, how did that happen? I mean, and there's a lot of talk on, if you buy your first apartment, brokers will start throwing deals at you, people start throwing capital at you. Have you felt that?
So that's a very good question. So I wouldn't say that brokers necessarily start throwing deals at me, because it still is a relationship business. They, in their eyes, yes, you may have a deal, and it was a smaller deal. 32 unit. It's a good size, but it still is a smaller deal in the grand scheme of things, right? Um, and so I wouldn't say that they were like throwing deals at me, but I still had to build my relationship with them in a natural way, in an organic way. And so I still had to get out there and meet with them, and just build that relationship, slowly, to be able to get to that point where they started sending me more deals. And as far as capital, yes, it definitely has gotten easier, because, people, they want to see a track record, right? And luckily for me, I was able to build that track record, going, starting from 2016 with my own property. So now I've been an individual owner, well, partnership in this case, but individual ownership. And, I've been a limited partner, and I have also been a general partner. So it kind of all three facets of multifamily ownership. And so that definitely gives, some more credibility as well, to, you've been there. Right. So, but like I said, I still partner, I'll still invest in deals as well, so,
Awesome.
um,
Awesome.
I
Okay.
think it's,
Yeah, awesome. So if you're okay, is there any way you'd like to give us a case study of a deal that you really liked? Either you made the most money or you helped someone the most. What were the numbers and kind of how did that deal turn out?
yeah, yeah. So the other deals that I'm in, haven't exited yet. So really the best one that I can say is the same 32 unit. And so that was a 389% return. It was, myself and, my partner, but it was a total of 389% return. And it was a good, solid operational and, from management side, and also from a improvement side, a physical improvement side, that it was a good value add deal. So, but yeah, I would say, on the other ones, we are still in the whole process, the whole period. So I really can't comment on those, even though they are doing well,
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
yeah.
Cool. You've done a ton of, deals. Congratulations on those and pretty quick succession. So congratulations. We definitely
Thank you.
dwelling into the quick rounds. These are going to be quick questions, quick answers. You ready, sir?
Yeah, yeah, let's do it.
All right. First question. What makes you unique? What is that differentiating factor that separates you from the next guy or the next girl?
Yeah, so I would say that for me, what makes me unique is that I keep going, I keep pushing. So goal setting. I think that's big, but I don't stop. Until either it doesn't happen at all, or I accomplish what I'm trying to go after. And I think that's something where everybody has that ability, but sometimes you just got to be able to believe in yourself. I believe in myself, and that's helped me to be a little bit more successful. But everybody has that ability, but you have to have that mindset. It all starts with the mindset. So yeah, I would say that is that.
Awesome. Second question. What was the last book that you read and what was the one thing that you picked out from that book?
Yes, yes. So Shoe Dog was the one with Phil Knight. How he started Nike. Everybody knows Nike, right? So, and this was actually on Audible, so I didn't actually physically read it, but it was on Audible. And so what I learned about that book was, everybody sees him being super successful. The company is everywhere. As I said, everybody knows Nike, but everybody doesn't know the story of how he went through things, and his journey, and all the struggles that he went through, and when things were like, man, this is not going to work anymore, and he finds a way. And even when he didn't have an answer, he said, yes, we'll figure it out later. And I think that's one thing that separated him, was he wasn't afraid of taking those leaps and taking those risks. And he moved forward, and knowing that he will take care of it later. And I'm not saying that that's the best strategy for everybody, but that was his strategy. And things worked out for him. And even years later, he was still struggling. He had been in business for several years, but he was still struggling, and he still found a way to make it to the top. So I took a lot from that book, man. Just keep pushing. Everybody keep pushing, no matter where you're at in life.
Yeah, I guess just do it, right? As Nike says,
Do it.
right?
Just do it. Exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the way
Final
he did.
question. Yeah, final question. You've got your beautiful wife, you got three boys, you're obviously managing all these assets. What do you do for fun?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. So, I really, I try to keep a simple life. For me, it's spending time with the family. Going to the gym, try to be active, right? Doing activities like recently did a MS 150 for multiple sclerosis. It's a good charity event. And that's my first time biking. It was from Houston to Austin, and that was my first time biking. I did it cold turkey, and so I got some cramps and I paid for it, but and it's funny because we're joking, and I was like, well, next year when we do it, because I want to do it next year, I said we're gonna call ourselves Team Cold Turkey, because that's the kind of the way we do things, cold turkey. So we're gonna have like a little picture of a turkey
A
that's
turkey literally on your back.
turkey that's like shivering and freezing on my back, Team Cold Turkey. But yeah, just try to stay active, spend time with the family, simple, nothing too crazy, and simple
Yeah,
guy.
awesome. Yeah, love it. So if there's a Dwell listener listening in and thinking, wow, I like this one guy, I want to get to know him, maybe they're in the Texas market or somewhere else in the country, what is the best place where people can connect with you, reach out to you?
Yeah, no, thank you for that. People can reach out to me, Juan at genwealthcapital.com. That's Juan at GENWEALTH capital, CAPITAL. So that's my email. Genwealthcapital.com is my website. You can go check it out. And also I have a podcast, so you can listen to the podcast if you like as well.
Woo woo! Shout out to the Commit to Work podcast.
Podcast, which we'll be having Ola here on the show pretty soon as well. So you might want to jump over there to check him out and hear his story as well. Because he's always interviewing a lot of great guests, and so we'll flip the script there for you guys.
Yeah,
so,
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really had time. I really had a good time with you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks to you. I really did had a good time, and thanks to everyone out there listening as well.
Cut. That was good. That was really good. Thank you so much, man. That was really good. Yeah, I mean, you're crushing it. I love it. This is good. Congratulations. That's awesome work. Yeah.
No, thanks a lot, man. It's about adding value to the audience, man, and hopefully we're able to do that, and
yeah.
On the direct mail side, I'm always willing to. People ask me all the time. They reach out to me, and I'm no expert. I claim that I'm no expert at all, but I mean, it worked. So,
yeah.
It worked. So that hopefully it works for somebody else as well.
Right. That's awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, Monday we have some more time to talk as well. Anyway, so I can't wait. Share my story as well. I don't know if I sent you a profile. Maybe I can send you an updated version.
Over everything that you like for me to go over.
Okay.
Even in a small intro that you like for me to introduce, like your best intro. Like, this is what I like people to hear about me.
Okay.
Send it over, and I'll be able to go through that in the very beginning. But for me, it's kind of the same thing as you.
Okay.
We'll expect anywhere from about 30 minutes or so, in free flow. I like the free flow.
Yep.
I have some questions at the end as well. We just make it fun for everybody, and be yourself, man. That's what I like from guests.
That's it. Yeah.
Be yourself.
So. All right. Sweet. Thank you so much.
Man. I'll see you Monday.
All right, boss. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
That was Juan Vargas. His story is just amazing. I really loved what he did with the handwriting, his direct mail letters. I think that's absolutely fascinating. And we've actually tried that when we first started Dwellynn, my wife and I. We would literally just write on postcards and send them. We'd get calls, and it was really, really, really interesting to do that, because you would not imagine how your hand will hurt after writing 100 pieces of direct mail. So I'm glad they're also doing that as well. I also really like the part that is just a simple guy, spends time with his family, and really knows what he's going after, and is ready to do whatever it takes. I mean, trying to sell your house to buy an apartment is definitely a new one. So I really like that. But also the fact that not just buying that first 32 unit, doing whatever it takes, but making almost what I think he said 400% or 389% in returns is crazy, on a big first deal like that. So I just want to encourage you guys that are out there thinking, I don't know how to get started, I don't know what to do. Well, you can just figure out a way to get started from the kind of very, very bottom. If that means, listening to a podcast like mine, grabbing a book, wherever you're at, just get started. Don't worry about, do I have to do this and do that? Just kind of get started where you're at. I just want to use this opportunity to say thank you so much for listening every week. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And also, I don't know if you guys heard this on the last show. We have just started, drum roll, we have just started an Amazon contest. So if you want $50 in Amazon gift card, give us a review. on iTunes. And when you write your review, take a screenshot or a picture of the review and send an email to ola@dwellynn.com. That's ola@dwellynn.com. That's OLA@DWELLYNN.com. And you might get that $50 Amazon gift card. We're actually giving away about 10 of those. So obviously you can use that to buy a real estate book or whatever you want to buy on Amazon. And so we really appreciate you guys. We appreciate the community that we have here, and it's growing stronger every day. The podcast is doing pretty well. We're getting, increased downloads month to month. I just want to say thank you so much, guys. I really, really appreciate you. Have a lovely day. Thank you.